Hey guys, the Super Review Show here for another episode of Why You Should Listen To. This is the show where I break down Spotify streaming numbers and when I think these artists are just that good, you have to listen to this artist or this band or this group, whatever. And because the music is just that good, you should definitely listen to and check these guys out. Today's episode of Why You Should Listen To is about The Who, the infamous, incredible rock band from the early to mid 60s up until today. Who are still going strong, and who really changed the way rock and roll can be performed and how it can be made in all different ways, thanks to one man, Pete Townsend, and his lead vocalist, Roger Daltrey. First things first, right off the bat, I love The Who. The Who are one of my favorite artists in the world. I was raised on some of their songs, Bob O'Reilly, Won't Get Fooled Again. My Generation was a big one for me. And I early on in life, because really quick side note, one of my earliest listenings of any song ever was Bob O'Reilly, Teenage Wasteland, and I heard that song live recently on their in 2019 when they came to the Garden for the second time on that tour. I got a floor seat. It was fantastic with the orchestra. I loved this band a lot. Because they are so unique in their own way, and they're really their own breed of rock and roll in a sense. I mean, yes, there was the Beatles, yes, there was the Stones, but the Beatles were more of the pop rock-esque stuff. They were rock and roll, but they were more of the pop rock. The other big one was the Rolling Stones. They were more of the blues rock. This one was the Who. To me, were like hard rock, early hard rock in a sense, not what we think of as metal now, but like Pete Townsend is a guy who believed in the guitar and how much the guitar could be used to change the mood, whether it be an acoustic guitar, whether it be an electric guitar, and how his albums were made. So first things first, I do have a lot of Who albums for you guys to see and check out as well. So let's get into that right now, actually. Let's get into their albums, and then as we're talking about it, I'll explain why you guys should listen to The Who. So for starters, they came out in the 60s. Their first album in the U.S. was My Generation. I do not have that record. I don't have The Who Sellout either. But I do have, starting in 1969, this is my collection of Who records, I have Tommy. Tommy, for those of you who don't know, Tommy was also a Broadway play based on this album, Tommy. This album, from start to finish, is the first ever rock opera where Green Day's American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown were heavily based off this album. Because they thought, imagine if we had songs that tell a story and a narrative heavily through they heavily influence each other's songs from start to finish. Sgt. Pepper by the Beatles kind of started that, but this album really, really cemented, if we can have, with songs like Overture, It's a Boy, You Didn't Hear It, Amazing Journey, Sparks. This album from start to finish is amazing. It tells a narrative that's very, very dense and very, very melodic, very crazy about a boy who's deaf, dumb, and blind and his life. They were going to try and tour this album at one point from start to finish, but Pete Townsend's like, no, it's a reflection of my pain, and I don't really want to do it. I don't blame him for that. So there's Tommy by The Who. Fantastic record. This is an album you have to listen to. You cannot shuffle this album on Spotify. You have to listen to it from start to finish. Believe me when I tell you that, okay? Next one I have here is actually an original. These are all original pressings, by the way. I work really hard to cut my original pressings. This one is The Who live at Leeds, recorded in England in 1970. This is an original pressing of that album. At one point, there's a piece of thing on it. There was some stuff about this album on YouTube. I forgive me, I don't remember the exact specific details of why this is so significant, but it is a fantastic record. I have it as well. Now let's get to some other stuff as well. Hold on. Now, one of the best albums ever, and it's made Rolling Stone's top 500 albums list within the top 10 or 15 albums. Who's Next? In 1971. This, by the way, just letting you know, I didn't realize this until later. They pissed on that statue there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but they're all zipping up their pants. Who's next? They're all gonna. That's really all it is. This album was amazing. I've listened to it from start to finish. You have to listen to this album from start to finish. There is no way you can listen to albums. One of the greatest experience, The Who are known for their albums, and listening to albums from start to finish, and especially with The Who, are really just testaments of how great they are and their artistic statement on how they are as a band. So, Bob O'Reilly, Bargain, Love Ain't For Keeping, My Wife, Song Is Over. Side 1, Side 2. Here we go, Side 2. Getting in Tune, Going Mobile, Behind Blue Eyes. I love that track. Won't Get Fooled Again, one of the most incredible rock songs ever written or composed with synthesizer, early on synthesizer, with Won't Get Fooled Again, 8 minutes and 31 seconds long. That's Who's Next. A fan-freaking-tastic record. One of the best albums of all time. Now, for a band that came out in the 60s, into the 70s, they were still plowing out incredible content, such as even Quadrophenia, another rock opera on this one, Pete Townshend's part. This pressing is a little bit different than the other pressing I have. I have 2 pressings of this. One is in somewhere else. I can't find it, but this is Quadrophenia by The Who. Oh, it's coming out. This one inside has a book, apparently. My aunt gave this to me a while ago. It actually has a storybook of how, it all... here's the... Hold on 1 second. Here's the actual... This came with a booklet. I mean, I'm surprised my aunt even gave this to me, because this is in great shape, too. This is... You can smell the old. But, look at that. Incredible. So much amazing... this is... Just to give you an idea, this came with a booklet. I'm not sure if the booklet even comes with the thing anymore, but this is Quadrophenia. Smells like old, guys. Forgive me. I Am the Sea, The Real Me, Quadrophenia, Cut My Hair. I did that today. The Punk Meets the Godfather, I'm One, The Dirty Jobs, Helpless Dancer, Is It in My Head, I've Had Enough, 5:15, Sea and Sand, Drowned, Bellboy, Dr. Jimmy, The Rock, and one of the greatest rock songs of all time ever, Love Reign Over Me. Pearl Jam covers that song quite a bit because Eddie Vedder is a big Who guy. There's the back of it. This is actually a really interesting pressing of it. It's really thick too. I don't know if you guys can see how thick it is. But it's got this booklet on the inside. It's crazy. I love this album. Again, when Green Day went into the studio to make American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown, they were listening to albums like this to get an idea of how to make a rock opera. And they mastered that with those 2 albums. But their influences was this one. I love this record. It has some of my favorite songs in the whole wide world on it. 1973, man. Crazy. Let's jump over to the next one. In 1975, I want to say, hold on, right? 1975, The Who by Numbers. Another fantastic record. Slip Kid. However much I can booze. Squeezebox. Mom, it's got a squeeze box. Like that one. Dreaming from the Waist. Imagine a Man. I really... I heard that song for the first time live ever on this tour that I just saw them on back in 2019. Imagine a Man was great. Success Story. They are all in love. Red, Blue, and Gray. How Many Friends and In a Hand or Face. The one big song on this record was Squeezebox. Mama's got a squeezebox. That one. That's this on this record. And the cover of it was drawn by John Entwistle, actually, believe it or not. Here you go. So John Entwistle was the basis for the Who as well. He died in 2002 of a cocaine overdose. But he drew that on the cover. See? One more time. He drew this cover. So it's pretty cool. Let's go to the next one. Now, The Who started in the 60s, kept going strong in the 70s with Who Are You? A lot of Who stuff, right? Who Are You is a fantastic record. Look at this is Roger Daltrey, this is Pete Townsend, this is John Entwistle, and this is Keith Moon. Keith Moon, by the way, fantastic. I'll get to him in a second, but his drumming is amazing, even though he died in the 70s too. This was his last album, actually, with Keith Moon. New song, Had Enough, 905. Sister Disco, Music Must Change. It really should. Side 2, Trick of the Light, Guitar and Pen, Love Is Coming Down, Who Are You? This album was really, really, really good. The only really song they play off it is Sister Disco and Who Are You, like the hits. But at the same time, still fantastic record overall, though. Now we jump into the 80s with Faces Dances, which has this one right here. This album right here. It has a bunch of songs on it, such as the opening track, I believe it was, hold on. You better, when I say I love, but you say you better, you better, don't let go the coat, cash, the quiet one, did you steal my money? Side 2 is, how can you do it alone? Daily Records, you, and Another Tricky Day. The only song they really play on this album is You Better, You Bet, because it was a big hit for them. And yeah, but like that's the front cover, right? Look at that. I love albums back in the day because they had so much like great covers. The covers were just astonishing. And there's the back cover right there, the paints. Pretty cool. Good, really good condition too for the original pressing. The last album I have with Who, and I'm going to get to why they should listen to it in a sec, is It's Hard, which had their last. It was their last. Keith Moon was already dead by this point, but it featured Athena, It's Your Turn, Cooks County, It's Hard, Dangerous, and an Eminent Front. Eminent Front's a great track, by the way. Side 2 is I've known no war, One's Life Enough, One at a Time, Why Did I Fall for That, A Man is a Man, Cry If You Want. It's an Eminent Front that's on this album right here. It's Hard by The Who. So, I have a lot of Who. I'm a big Who fan. Who? What? Exactly. The age-old joke of like, Who? What are you talking about? So, those are my albums by The Who. I think that they are great. They're timeless to me. And their songs have a lot of depth and emotion to them, a lot of meaning to them. I think they're brilliant. So why should you listen to The Who? Well, because, for starters, John Entwistle is dead. And Keith Moon is dead. So, and you should really listen to them and go see them live. They're totally worth seeing live if you have the opportunity to see them. I don't know if they're going to tour next year or not in 2022 with COVID and whatnot, but we'll see. But I hope they come back soon. They were amazing live. Like, they had an orchestra behind them too. It was so cool. They played the hits with the orchestra behind them, and it was awesome. But why should you listen to The Who? Well, because they started out as a band. When everyone thinks of like the biggest bands of all time, they think, oh, the Beatles, right? Well, the Beatles don't really exist anymore because 2 members are dead, and McCartney and Starr are solo. When you say the Rolling Stones is a very viable option, even though Charlie Watts just passed, sadly, very sad. Charlie Watts, sorry, no, not Charlie Watts. The Rolling Stones are still going strong as a band, and they can still go anywhere in the world, and stadiums. It's crazy. Now, that being said, a lot of people, I feel like people don't forget, but I feel like I'm not going to say they're underrated, but I think the Who just get overlooked a little bit as far as like, oh, they've been around for that long and they're still going strong kind of thing. Like, they've played Madison Square Garden, I don't even know how many times so far. Like, I think they hold the record of like, not Billy Joel level, but like, they hold a record of like performances at the Garden, Madison Square Garden. U2, same thing, Pearl Jam, same thing. So, but as far as like, quality of work goes, and if you're looking for complete albums to get into Quadrophenia and get into Tommy. I mean, the one big hit off of Tommy was Pinball Wizard, but that's really it. But the album though is fantastic. It took rock and roll in a brand new direction, and all because of Pete Townsend and experimenting around with sounds after listening to Sgt. Pepper and Exile on Main Street and all this stuff. And he took rock and roll in a new direction. He also introduced the synthesizer in the rock and roll song. One Could Fool Again anyone? Bob O'Reilly anyone? The guy was fooling around with synthesizers well before anyone else was. So, and he did it in the right way, not in like the pop synth way. But like Led Zeppelin wasn't even doing that until like later on in their career. It all really started with Pete Townsend. He was using synthesizers before a lot of other artists were using synthesizers. So, I don't know, just my opinion. But look, ultimately, you should listen to The Who. Start with any of the albums I listed. Start with My Generation. Start with, Who's Next. Go from there. They did just put out an album recently, too, back a couple years ago. And it was really great. It was just called Who. It was about aging. And I thought it was brilliant, actually, for guys who were super old, like in their 70s, still putting out amazing content. It's amazing when that happens. So, to me personally. But overall, guys, what do you think about this? Do you like The Who? Have you heard of them before? Jump down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And sound off if you're a Who fan and if you've seen them live at all, whatever you want to say. And but for all of your why you should listen to videos, keep it locked on the Super Review Show. The J-Man is off the rock. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one.